Hi everyone, it's Nicole. Welcome back to my channel and another card making video tutorial. Today I have some fun collage strips cards featuring the Simon Says stamp July 2023 card kit called Flower Happy. And even though these are collage strips, I turned them into rainbow collage strips, and I'm going to show you how I did that. These are the Tim Holtz Idea-ology collage strips included in the kit. So first, let's unbox the kit, or unbag it in this case, and I'll show you what all you get. Starting with this awesome mesh bag, the color may vary. We're going to get a dot runner adhesive, the Jubilee embossing folder and die, the Tim Holtz Idea-ology collage strips, the American Crafts Bo Bunny Brighton 6x8 paper pad, we're going to be using that. The Flower Happy 6x8 stamp set from Simon Says Stamp, and some cardstock. I'm going to start by taking the Idea-ology collage strips out of the package, and I'm going to sort them by color. I really wanted to see what all was included in the collage strips, and so for me that always starts anytime I have a package of ephemera or die cuts or whatever it might be. I like to see what's in the pack and like physically touch it, see what goes together. And in this case, it immediately became clear, this was my first look, that there was some rainbow in here. And you know my theory, when in doubt, rainbow it out. So I thought, let's go ahead and sort the strips by rainbow, and I moved all of the neutral collage strips to the side. Once those are moved to the side, the neutral ones, I'm gonna really look at the colors left and get a game plan. For me, generally, I tend to gravitate towards more of a simple type of style with this, and I want to mix up my collage strips. In fact, here I'm going to move in these aqua ones. Let's just move those to the center of the screen. And so I'm looking at it, trying to determine, do I want to do an all over background? What do I want to do? I originally got my Tim Holtz rotary cutter out because I love using it, but for the sake of this video, I think I'm just going to use my regular little trimmer because it fits on the screen a little bit better. And I'm going to start cutting apart little parts and pieces of these strips. And I'm going to start with my pink and go with red. Now, I did do one of the strips completely before quickly realizing that this technique lends itself really well to mass producing. And whenever I can, I love to mass produce cards because I already have all the supplies out. And card kits are fantastic for that, you guys. With this particular July kit, I did end up making 7 cards total. There are going to be 3 that you will see on the Simon Says Stamp YouTube channel, and they're different than this in a week or so, later in the month of June. So I'm going to continue to cut these apart, and I'm going to speed up the video a little bit. So by this point, I really had a pretty good idea of how I felt like the card was going to come together. We're going to have in our collage strip, I should start over, a pink, a red, orange, yellow, green, aqua, and then purple or lavender. And then there are some blue strips as well that I will probably pull in by die cutting. For the background of each card, the pattern papers from the Bo Bunny Brighton 6x8 pattern paper pad are gorgeous. So I started with my favorite, of course, which was this aqua floral background. And I'm going to go ahead and go through the rest of my paper pad and pick out some other patterns I think are going to work. You may have noticed me there with the Flower Happy stamp set. I want to use the greetings from this on each of my cards. So from each of the 4 pattern papers I choose, I am going to trim a 4 1/4 by 5.5 inch panel background. I will say I originally picked a polka dot for my 4th and I changed my mind and opted for the green instead. I felt like the greeting would show up better on it. I'll just save the polka dot paper for another card later on. I really should have known better. It's a little too busy. I was a little worried the sentiment may not show up. Then you also get in the kit some white cardstock. This is 110 pound weight Neenah solar white cardstock. I'm going to trim mine to 5.5 inches wide, and then I'm going to cut 4 2-inch strips from that 5.5 inch wide panel. Using my favorite scallop stitches, I'm going to use the smallest die from this set. This is a set I use all of the time. It's probably one of my top favorite basics next to the sentiment label strips. I am going to create this stitched scallop border along each long edge. Once I have that, I'm going to peel this off. And I kind of determined how wide I needed it to be based on my collage strips. So I'm going to have this beautiful white strip along the bottom, and it's going to house the collage strips. I chose the white because I felt like it would set off, I guess, the collage strips against a busy background. It gives your eye somewhere to rest. Super simple and easy to do. So I kind of forgot, because it got covered up with some of the other things on my desk, that you get a dot runner in this kit. So I'm using some adhesive strips right here, but you will see me move over to that dot runner here in just a minute. So I just was going to be honest with that. I lifted up some paper and I was like, oh no, I forgot. So we will use the dot runner for the remaining of the cards. But I want to put adhesive down the center of each of these 2-inch wide strips that I have, again, used that scallop stitches die cut on, and we're going to build our rainbow. Just like that, super easy. Because they're all the same width, I've just cut them, at different intervals along each strip. It's easy to do. And then anything hanging off the edge can be trimmed away easily with some scissors or a paper trimmer. Look how beautiful that collage strip is. I absolutely love it. I think this is going to be so pretty and so easy. So now I am going to go ahead and create a whole bunch more. Off camera, I am going to die cut all of my little rainbow pieces, and I have several stacks. I may have to rearrange just a little bit as I'm working to make them fit, but I have a pretty general idea. And again, we're just going to put adhesive down the center of our 2-inch wide strip, which ends up being a little smaller, obviously, since we're die cutting along each side. I forgot my yellow. And then we're going to simply build each of these strips. Oh, that one turned out perfect. And here's my dot runner. Now this adhesive is great. I have not used it a ton. I think I'm going to start using it a little bit and see what I think. If you follow me here and watch especially my lives, you know that I have been on the hunt for a good dot runner for some time. Had quite a lot of trouble finding one I like after my favorite tape adhesive runner is no longer available. So we may try out this Simon Says stamp one and see what we think. You could make so many of these strips in all kinds of different configurations. Even in neutrals, I think this would be very fun. Then I'm going to take the Graceful Butterfly embossing folder and die set, and we are going to die cut the smallest butterfly from the collage strips. It actually fits width-wise, and I'm going to find colors I like in several collage strips, and I'm going to cut the small butterfly. Each card is going to feature that 4 1/4 by 5.5 inch pattern paper background, a collage strip, a stamped and embossed sentiment, and a beautiful little butterfly. I have been using this butterfly a ton lately. I really love this set. In fact, I like using all the butterflies in this set, even if you aren't going to use the embossing folder. You get not only the butterflies, but you get the bodies of the butterfly, which you'll see here in a little bit. And if you like to make butterflies, it's fantastic. I did not use the embossing folder with my butterflies this time. With the pattern paper, I wasn't exactly sure how much of that would really show up anyway. And for me, this was more about the pattern paper and not about the embossing. Now it's about this time that polka dot background, it's just not working. It's not like the other 3 cards are a lot more similar in that they have a more tone on tone background or more simplistic pattern paper background. And the polka dots is just a little too busy for this particular card design. I love that pattern and I think it's going to work for something else. It just, sometimes that happens. Don't be afraid to change your mind, I guess is my point. I'm going to go ahead and take the Simon Says Stamp powder tool and I am going to prep my pattern paper. We're going to be stamping and embossing directly on the pattern paper today, and with a simple background you can do this and it's not too busy. I'm going to stamp a greeting from that Flower Happy stamp set included in the kit or available for individual purchase right on my background, and then heat emboss with antique gold embossing powder. We're going to sprinkle all of that on, tap off the excess, and then of course heat set. And I am going to do this for all 4 backgrounds. So for each background, I have 2 landscape and 2 portrait style cards. I'm using my border and my die as a guide to know where I want to place my sentiment. And for the most part, I shifted it over to the right on each design. So for the landscape, it's just to the right of center. And then for our portrait cards, I want to kind of prep that. I think I'll shift the strip over to the left. And then we're going to place our greeting down here in the bottom right corner. The butterfly will be placed above. So just a little bit of difference in placement to make everything work out and look the best. I of course picked 2 of the smaller sentiments, I guess I want to say, for the portrait style so that they would fit. Once we have that, I want to do a little more prep work before we get to finishing the card designs. And for that, or before we adhere anything, I guess I want to say, I want to add some splatter to the backgrounds of my cards with the Gilded Foundry Wax. The Gilded Foundry Wax is one of my favorites. It comes in several different colors, but you can add splatter with it. So over my background, I am going to add a little bit here and there. Now, the great thing about this is it's going to add like gilding spatter to your background, and you have to heat set it. If you don't heat set it, it will rub off eventually. And I am working pretty quickly. It does dry fast, but again, even if it dries, it will rub off or smear if you don't heat set it. And heat setting it gives you that beautiful gold gilded effect. I felt like any little thing I could do to add more detail to a very simple card design was really going to take it up another level. Even when you're working with pre-mades, which is what you get a lot in any kind of card kit, you can make beautiful cards. It's something that I'm really passionate about. Whatever kind of card kit you might be working with, find ways to make those elements your own. We cut apart the collage strips. We used the collage strips to die cut butterflies. We added the Foundry wax to the pattern paper backgrounds to grunge them up a little bit. You could add ink around the edges or gouache or paint splatter or whatever the case may be. So just definitely try to make them your own. Once we have all of our backgrounds heat set, I am ready to kind of lay everything out and make a plan. We're going to adhere our strips to the background. And I think I'll work card by card at this point, but we're going to place our strip. We're going to take our butterfly, and remember earlier I talked about the body of the butterfly from the Graceful Butterfly set. Any butterfly die set would work like this, by the way. And I'm just cutting apart. The bodies are kind of long, so if you're going to use the small butterfly, I would recommend trimming it down, And I die cut the body of the butterfly from that rose metallic cardstock included in the kit. And I'm going to glue that to the body of the butterfly. In fact, let's just do that so all of those are drying. And let's place this down. But I want to add that gilded Foundry wax to the edges of the butterflies as well. I have lots and lots of, well, I shouldn't say lots and lots, but several videos where I've done something similar. And I am actually going to link to one of my more popular videos in case we have some new people here who haven't seen it, where I made a canvas with butterflies and used that Foundry wax. And that canvas lives in my craft room. But it is a really fun way to add additional detail, not only to butterflies, but any kind of dies. So definitely check that out if you haven't seen it. Oh my goodness, I love these little butterflies. I think they're so pretty, and they're going to be the perfect simple embellishment to finish off each of these cards. I like to take my ring finger when I am applying the Foundry wax. So with the Foundry wax, again, it's kind of messy. I generally don't use a paintbrush to do it, but you probably could. I mean, I did use it for the spatters. It just absorbs into the paintbrush quite a lot, so that's why I like using my finger for this. But I'm going to go around the edges of each butterfly very messily. You know, it's going to be different on every one, very organic, heat set. And then we are going to go ahead and put tiny foam adhesive squares in the upper corners of the wings of the butterfly, liquid adhesive in the center, and then place that butterfly down on our project. And that, I like the foam adhesive squares under the wings. It gives the butterfly the illusion of flight. And it's not quite so flat. But I like to have the body of the butterfly glued down to the card. Oh my goodness, it's so pretty. So let's continue this for all of the rest of the cards. I'm just going to keep dabbing the Foundry wax around the edges, and you could definitely use any of the Foundry wax colors. I think any of them would be beautiful. I chose the Gilded as I thought it matched the antique gold of the embossing powder that I used for my sentiments the best. But silver, copper, they would all be super beautiful with this same technique. So definitely match whatever you like. And I think the little splatter in the background, it's very subtle and matches the theme and feel of the design beautifully. Now I will be adding one last thing to my cards with a sprinkling, I guess I should say, of some pearls. We're going to use the Pretty Pink Posh Latte pearls. And I chose to use something kind of neutral. I wanted to add a very tiny little embellishment to the rest of the design. And I just felt it needed just a little something else. So that's why I chose that. But rainbows to match would also be really pretty. I love the soft color of these latte. And again, kind of the feel of gold without being like in your face gold. So it picks up the rose gold of the butterfly body with the gilded Foundry wax of the splatter and on the wings, and then the antique gold of the sentiment. Just kind of flows together perfectly. We're going to do kind of a diagonal placement on each background, and I'm going to do this for all 4 cards. Once we have our pearls on all of the designs, I will be using that same dot runner that comes in the kit. I love when adhesive comes in the kit. And we are going to go ahead and adhere these to some white top fold and side fold card bases to finish this up. If you have received your kit, I would love to know what you are creating with this month's kit. Do you love those collage strips like I do that are included in the July 2023 kit? What have you made with them? So many great ideas. Don't forget to check out the Simon Says Stamp website. They also have a great place where you can go to get card kit inspiration. I will link that in the description here underneath the video on YouTube, as well as over on my blog, so you can check that out and see what other designers have made with this amazing kit. So pretty, super easy, and you are left still with tons and tons of pattern paper, cardstock, collage strips. You still have plenty of things, and I didn't even really touch on the stamp set more than the sentiment for these particular cards, but there's florals in that stamp set, so lots of things that you can do with this card kit. I hope this has inspired you for when your card kit comes in the mail. Thank you guys so much for joining me today. The supplies I used are listed and linked below the video here on YouTube. Thank you so much for joining me today for another paper crafting tutorial. I love being able to share with this incredible community of crafters. I want to give a huge shout out and special thank you to my amazing Patreon members. If you're interested in joining Patreon, please click the link in the description underneath the video here on YouTube. Patreon is a private community where you can support more of what I do. There's exclusive content, you'll receive a handmade birthday card from me during your birthday month, monthly lives for my top tier patrons, and more. We would love to have you join our growing community. If you enjoyed this video, please subscribe to my channel, click the like button, and don't forget to click the notification bell so you're always notified when I have a video or go live. Thank you again for watching, and I'll see you again next time.